to Mosh. This is episode 3. I'm David Longville, and I'm joined with
Justin Curtis.
That's right. So let's just jump right into it, right? Is that what you want to do?
Sure.
Okay. So the one thing I wanted to talk to you about, so we're here at Downtown Music Hall again in Fort Walton Beach.
Yeah, why don't we shut them out again real quick?
Yeah.
Thank you, Downtown Music Hall.
Yeah, thank you, Ian, and all the staff here. You guys have been awesome.
Suzanne, everybody who is associated with Downtown Music Hall, you're awesome. Thank you for letting us do this, giving us a space to do it and everything like that.
Yeah, and let's talk about, so you've been doing booking here at Downtown Music Hall, and you just worked with Until I Wake and those guys, and you just played the show with them. So how do you feel about that show? I mean, it was a good turnout. And
yeah, honestly, I guess I went into it. I didn't know who they were, unfortunately. That's probably because I only listen to what I like to listen to. I have my little, niche portion of metal. But, yeah, it sold really well. It kind of sold itself. And there was, I think we had 170-something people here.
Wow.
Which was great. I thought the show went really well. The bands all seemed to, have a good time, and we're happy at the end of the night. So, yeah, it was really good.
Yeah, I was there. I mean, every band did really well. It was cool because, Catch Your Breath has that song Dial Tone that's blowing up right now, and just to see everybody singing along to it. And then I've been listening to it on repeat lately because, like you said, I guess we're old, so we've been kind of out of the scene here.
Yeah.
So it's not, we're not trying to knock the bands or anything. It's just, I have my, like you said, your set bands that you listen to. And, once I started to listen to them, I was like, oh, these guys have their shit together. It sounds really good. But that Catch Your Breath song, it kept coming across my Spotify over and over. And I know I've listened to it. Like, I've been taking a shower, listening to a certain playlist, and then that song comes across, and it just resonated with me, but I never sat down and who is this band? I just kept hearing that song over and over again. And then finally I realized, oh shit, they're playing this show with you guys. Yeah. So, and that package was great. Catch Your Breath put on a really good show. Dark Divine was awesome. Until I Wake. They all put on such a good show. So, yeah. And to see the crowd react to it was really cool too. I guarantee you guys made some new fans, and
it was really good. We played 2 new songs, Morningside and Damaged, and a couple little hiccups, but first time ever playing them live and in front of an audience, there's bound to be a couple hiccups, but thank God it was at our home base.
Yeah,
we weren't on tour or whatever, but to something you said about the bands and stuff, and new bands, none of this is it's not like, I'm sure you're the same way. It's not like we don't like new music. It's not like we're not, we're just not actively seeking it, I don't think, anymore.
Yeah.
Especially, you get older and less time. You got to expend your energy in other places. I'm in a band. I do booking. I have a family, all that sort of stuff. You have, the management company. You also do, odd things here and there, helping out veterans and stuff like that. And it's hard to just sit and find new music. So I think that's probably the only reason why, don't know newer bands. You know what I mean? All the bands I was going through my head. I'm like, all the bands I know and all the bands I listen to are 10, 15, even 20 years old at this point. Shoot, when did I find August Burns Red? They've got to be on about 20 years now.
Yeah. Of
being a band and putting out music. I think it was I know it was before 2008, so that's at least 15. I think, was Messengers their second album?
Oh God.
Not quite sure.
Yeah, I claim to be a diehard August Burns Red fan.
And
so
then
you
I
would think
ask you
that-
like the trivia question, like you're on Jeopardy. It's
Yeah.
like, you draw a blank.
Yeah, that's actually a great point. It's
Yeah.
not until like you're there and you're watching at home and you're like, I know that answer. It's
Yeah.
like, yeah, but when you're
when
there,
yeah,
and-
when it's on you.
it's crunch
pressure's on
time.
you.
Yeah,
But yeah, they did a hell of a job. Dark Divine's makeup was cool.
yeah, for real.
Their bassist had some wicked contacts in. It was tripping me out while I was talking to him at the end of the night. And I feel bad too, because like you were talking about, I book all the shows, and usually when I'm booking all the shows and stuff, I end up every night, like I can't just sit there and enjoy the show. A lot of the times I'm like running around, talking to people, talking to the owner, talking to the bands,
Yeah.
then the people that come to see you want to talk to you, and then just making sure everything's okay and everything's getting taken care of. So
Yeah, you're like on the clock as soon as you get here. Yeah.
And then handling my own band at the time too, it was like trading places at the merch booth and talking to people there and everything like that. So it can get, you don't really have a lot of time to sit and just enjoy. You're not a fan, you're there to work.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, it was kind of like that for me too. Because we started this podcast, and shout out to all the people that have been listening. Of course, we mentioned it last time, but it means a lot to us. And what we covered in our last episode was cool stuff that we think of, as far as the military goes and all that, and our experiences in music. And obviously that's what we want to cover and what this is about. But it was cool to see, bands come out and reach out to us and say that they wanted to be on the show, which we would love to have them on, and we are going to schedule that and make that happen. But it's just really cool to see that, people out here physically saying like, damn, this is great. You see this stuff on Facebook and YouTube and all that, but, and we're just shooting the shit, but it's informational, it's, and I will say, and you agree with me on this, like, it's not like what we cover is not like the be all end all, this is the stuff that worked for me. It's different for you, what you've done for your band, and what we do is kind of similar, but it's also very different. And I wanted to talk about that quick too. Like, what works for us isn't going to work for everybody, like what you've done and the things that you've been through with your band and how you gauge success and all that stuff and how you've been successful might not work for someone else too. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's no like blueprint for what is right, so no,
there is no blueprint, unfortunately. You do this, and this, and you'll get it all right. But yeah, it's unfortunate that there's not a blueprint or not more information out there.
Yeah,
save you years of work.
Well, that's what this is about too, is like hopefully saving people time and like helping them along the way in some sort of way through our experiences and stuff. So but yeah, that's what I wanted to say is like, these are our personal experiences, whether they be in the military or in music. So it's not like because we did this and because it was successful doesn't mean it's going to work 100% for you. But there are just like certain things like what we were talking about before we started the show, which I wanted to cover is, like jobs inside the band.
Oh yeah.
And we would sit down and figure out, you got 5 guys or 4 guys or however many members you have in the band. And outside of, writing music's important, recording music, getting in the studio, all that stuff is really important, filming music videos. And you guys have really realized that working for yourselves and learning how to do things on your own not only saves you money, but you can be really creative with it. And you might go to somebody that's a videographer that's going to make a music video for you. They might have a whole different idea of what they want this video to look like, and it might not match your idea. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you can be really creative and do your own thing, And then also, when it comes to edits, you keep going back and forth with a videographer or a studio on editing, and it's just like takes more and more time. When you can do it yourself, it's just like, oh, I'll just throw this here and do this. And you guys have done a great job with it. Damage looks really good. Ninkasi looks really good. Like, all these things that you're making look like the visuals look really good. And you've done all that on your own, you know? I mean, right?
Yeah, yeah, pretty much. I mean, as of, you know, after we put out the single Inertia, everything has been, on our own. And it's just learning back, you know, over time. And, you know, basically, like, you know, you start off and you put out some crappy artwork video that you just throw together, and then over time you just kind of mold it into, well, let me try this, let me try that, let me try this, and then, you know, you start to learn a bunch of stuff, and it gets a little bit easier, and then, you know, and then one day your guitar player has a wild hair up his ass and fucking starts to go, I want to film my own music video. I'm like, okay.
Yeah,
like,
let's try it.
I don't know, we just kind of like jumped in. We didn't really like, you know, it was kind of like just me and Scott sitting there going, do we think we can do this? And he, you know, he's like, I'll rent this, and I have this, and you have that, and all we need is space, and let's just see what we come up with.
Mm-hmm.
And it just so happened that it turned out pretty well. You
Yeah,
know,
for
like
real.
For guys who didn't know what the hell they were doing. Just picked and it was all done in like 2 days, you know, maybe a day. Yeah, it worked out pretty well. I was very impressed with what we were able to accomplish.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it was pretty dope.
Yeah. So that's like one of the things that you guys have taken on, and Scott has been like big on doing the videos and things.
Yeah, I think he wants to pursue a career in that, you know, down the road and like full time. So like he's really taken an interest in, you know, doing that, which is great because it's just one less thing that I have to think about and worry about, which is awesome. But like you were talking about jobs in the band. I like piggybacking on that. It's just like, from what I've seen, it's usually one person kind of takes the reins with every band. It seems to be just this, you know, a story as old as time type shit. You know? It just, every band I talk to there's always that one person that does majority of the work, and that can be a pretty daunting task for the person doing it, and kind of a tough task for everybody else who wants their input heard, but doesn't necessarily, you know, take the initiative to do things, you know?
Yeah.
Like, I know a lot of people have problems with, like, timetables, and, you know, you were talking about going back and forth to, like, mix engineers and videographers and stuff, and it's like, we could sit here till we die and nitpick every little pixel and every little waveform and everything like that, but it's never going to be exactly perfect. Like, nothing is exactly perfect. There is no perfect song. And you know, so like, you have to set timetables and goals, and just like any other job, like,
Yeah.
like I've hit on before, this is a business. It becomes a job. Like, it is what it is. It's an awesome job. It's really cool, but it's still a job, and you still have to get things done, and you have to get things done in a timely manner. Like, you can't just sit on things all the time, or you're just gonna be sitting on it.
Yeah, exactly.
You know? How many guitar players out there got
Riffs,
and riffs, just riffs, and they're all on but they've never been formed into a song because you get either bored with it, or
it's not perfect.
It's not perfect, and you know, it's like, just get it as great as you can, and then put it out, and then hopefully it you know, translates. You know, and sometimes music and everything like that is, you know, it could be perfectly imperfect. You know, you listen to Hendrix, there's all sorts of push and pull, and, you know, like, he's very messy, but it's perfectly imperfect.
Yeah.
You know, the feedback and things he would do on stage. The same thing with Eddie Van Halen and stuff. It was never perfect. It was all just off the cuff a lot of times, like live and stuff like that. You know, you listen to Van Halen albums, it's perfectly imperfect too. You know, so don't just sit on stuff because you know, think it's got to be a, you know, Beethoven, you know, symphony, whatever. You know, it's like, get it as best as you can and as great as you think it can be, and then say that's it, and then let that child go out into the world, man.
Yeah,
you know?
it's still you,
Yeah.
it's still your music and stuff.
And then grow from it. Like, see what you did last time, and then
yeah,
try
exactly.
to grow from it.
Just keep
next
getting
time.
better.
Yeah. Don't put out shitty music, but you know, like, put out the best product you can at the time. I mean, dude, you can look at all of your bands that you like, and normally you can see growth, you know, throughout album and singles and all that sort of stuff. From
Absolutely.
where they started to where they are now, you know. It's very rare that you get somebody that just comes out with their first album and it's, you know, top freaking notch songwriting and sound, and, you know, you listen to Kill 'Em All from Metallica and then you listen to the Black Album and there's a huge difference.
Yeah, for sure.
You know?
Yeah.
And I keep aging myself every time I talk. I'm like, Van Halen, Jimi Hendrix, Metallica.
Yeah. No, I mean, but it's great. It's a great point because, like, these guys started out, you know, in, you know, small studios and then worked their way up and things like that. And, but back to jobs. So, like, what do you think are, like, the most important jobs inside a band? Like,
inside of the band, like, I would say, well, first you have to have somebody that books your shows within the band, that's actively, like, searching out and finding and emailing and messaging and talking to people, and you know, it's kind of like you're like a sales rep for your band.
mm-hmm.
You know, that's going out and actively finding places for you to perform. You know, I don't know, it's weird. Like, I just consider all that kind of stuff like the business aspect of it. Like, but then there's different branches of the business, but it's, you know, yeah, you gotta have, so there's that. I'm trying to think of, like, what else. I've got so many things going through my head of, like, all the things that freaking we do, you know, like, or I do normally. But, like, yeah, you got to have somebody who's kind of like the creative one, and you got to have somebody who's like the business one. I guess that you could kind of break it down into that, you know.
Yeah, in a perfect world too, like, you want everybody contributing.
Yeah,
you know, outside of just writing music.
In some way, shape, or form, they have to be contributing. You know, unless, I mean, you could have some kind of agreement, I guess, where you just, like, do you just want to play drums and I'll take it from here, and I just need you to show up. I mean, but usually everybody wants to have their opinion. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah,
I guess that's the hard part, is, like, you know, people don't necessarily want to be a go-getter and go actively search out these things and find these things and do these things. But then every time there's a decision to be made, it's like, oh, my voice needs to be heard type of shit.
yeah.
And that can be troublesome, you know. I think that's probably why most bands break up, is because, you know, there's usually kind of one person leading the way, and then they get burnt the fuck out. And
yeah, for sure.
Know, I think you've had issues with that. You know, it's like you're pushing so hard, and then, you know, you got these ideas, and you start putting things in places and moving in certain directions, and then, you know, then somebody's opposed to it, and it's like, I just spent all these months or all these weeks putting all this together, and then you're just like, no, I don't think that's a good idea.
Yeah,
you know. And meanwhile, you're not doing anything to, you know, give other options.
Exactly.
You know, it's like,
I think that's my biggest problem with when I was part of a band. It's like, I think it's like with any job or any friendship or relationship or anything like that. It's like, you know, I don't want to go that way. And it's like, okay, well then give me another option. You know, like you can't just shoot down ideas and not provide another idea. You know, I think that's really important. I think that maintains any relationship. You know, it's like, well, I don't want to go to Vegas. It's like, all right, well, I took 2 weeks off, so where are we going? You know what I mean? So, and it's the same thing within a band. But I will say, like, I think one really important job within the band is finances, dude. Like, you know what I mean? And we had shout out to Mark, our drummer. He was the one that really held on to our finances and let us know how much we were making every month, and just, you know, even for taxes and stuff like that. And it was just nice because we were talking about this before the podcast, but like knowing how much we could spend on the next thing, you know, like, okay, we need a video, and it's like, okay, well, there's $0 in the bank account. How are we paying for this video? Well, let's schedule some shows. We'll sell some merch, you know, and then we'll put that money towards making a video. And that's exactly what we did. But having someone that knows, because then, you know, you want to make money at the end of the day. Everyone wants to get paid. You know, you're driving to New York or wherever, like you're out on the road, even if it's a weekender. But you want to make sure, all right, we made this much money. How much are we divvying out to ourselves? How much is going into the band fund? How much is going towards the next venture that we have? You know, I think that's really important within, because, you know, you have money incoming. If you're not paying attention to that, and we talked about this with merch too, is like when you start pulling just a shirt out of there, well, that's real money, dude. Yeah. Like, you know, I know you're excited about it. It's a brand new shirt, you know, or whatever kind of merch you have. And when members are pulling it out and then thinking like, okay, this is just mine because I'm part of the band. It's like, well, that's money that you just took right out of the band fund.
From everybody in your band.
Exactly. So at least pay what it costs to print the shirt, at least, you know, or we'll put that. You can just take it. It's fine. And we'll just write it off. Like, it's fine. And it just depends on how you want to do it. But I think if you're not paying attention to your finances, you can go negative really quick. So,
well, and like, it can, you know, when it comes to the finance portion of it, it's like, you can look at it in two ways, you know, like, you got to buy new strings, and you got to buy new this, and you got to put gas in your car and everything like that. And that's great if you know, if you're going to a gig, and let's be honest, we're not making a lot of money normally. Normally, you're not making a lot of money, especially in metal. You know, if you want to make money, go start a cover band. You know, that's I mean, that's, you know, that's what people always say is like, if you want to make money in music, go start a cover band. You know, and if you want to get paid, there you go. You know, everybody can make $100 a night or whatever it is, and you can play, you know, 8675309 and Last Dance with Mary Jane and all that sort of stuff. But if you want to do this, you know, there's a lot of stuff that's required. You know, promotion, videos, recordings, mixing, mastering, gear, all, you know, just merch. Just all that sort of stuff. And it can, you know, if you're getting paid from show to show, it can either hurt you in the front end or it can hurt you in the back end. Yeah. So, you might have to fill up your vehicle and drive 4 hours, put 2 tanks of gas in it. It's going to cost you however much money it is. And that sucks. You know, I feel your pain. I have, you know, an SUV, you know, and I pull a trailer. But it can either hurt you in the front end, or you're going to be sitting around when it's time to record and say, everybody give me X amount of dollars to go to the studio, you know? So it's just. Yeah,
but when you're keeping track of that and then you have $1,500 in the account, it's like, all right, let's do it.
Yeah,
you know?
Exactly. You know, you get, or, you know, like with ours, we haven't had to shell out any money, I don't think, in a year, because everything has been pretty self-sufficient, which I've tried to keep it that way. Like, I just have a VIP account, and I put everything in there. I try to keep track of it as much as possible, you know. But anytime anybody can, you know, wants to know what we got and what we can spend, I have it like right there on my phone. I can just send a screenshot. This is how much we have, boys, you know. But yeah, the finance part, somebody's got to keep track of it.
Yeah, a lot of people don't think about it. They just see the money and then they're just like, oh, and then they divvy it out to each other. And then when it comes to time to pay for other stuff outside of the band, well, not outside, but you know what I'm saying, like videos and photographers and things like that. It's like, how cool would it be to just be like, oh yeah, we'll just take that out of the band fund,
recording, putting out new music. It's like, where does that money come from? And that shit's expensive. Yeah. Like if you want it done right, you can go local to some dude, some random guy. If you want to do anything, if you want to go to anybody professional, it's going to cost you,
travel,
a good amount of money. Yeah, and then you have that on top of it. So you want to pay for the hotel while you're there, the Airbnb or the hotel or whatever you're staying at, or and then and usually people don't have it. Like musicians are not, usually they're don't have the best jobs in the world, which is fine. It's just it just sucks, man, when you're sitting there and you're like, we got all these songs and we want to record them, and then guys, because of circumstances or just don't have any money. It's like, well, I don't have any money.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, we talked about this, and if you want to keep getting your gas money every time, well, then you definitely don't have any money to go record. So
yeah, I think my thing, and we were talking about this before the podcast, and I think it is important. It just popped into my head now, but if you're like, it's one thing to show up and play a show, you know what I mean? Like anyone can do that, and bring your equipment and set up and all that stuff. It's expected out of you, like being in a band. And then I think if you're thinking of like getting more out of it, then put more into it. You know what I'm saying? Like, if a member of my band came up to me and was like, hey, dude, I just need gas money and stuff like that, let's work that out, But if you're saying like, I want to get paid for a show or something like that, it's like, well, bring more money in. And the way to bring more money in is by working harder, by promoting the band more, by and this is a big pet peeve of mine too. This popped into my head again, but it's one thing to like share a status or something like that about the band. Like we have a new song coming out and stuff. Like anyone can just hit share in the band. It irks me when like band members don't hit share on stuff. Yeah. When the band posts something, it's like, just like it, share it. That's another like, that's another share. Also, it's going to your friends list. People in your family do support you. Friends support you. I mean, whether it's 5 new people that listen to you, that's 5 more people. You know what I'm saying? Like, as opposed to 0, or whatever. But it just irks me when band members don't share content, and also when they just hit share, and it's just like, share it. You're not taking any effort to promote yourself. It's just like, here it is, I like to make something more personal, like where it's like, hey, we worked really hard on this. This is why you should listen to this. Not because, I'm in a band, check us out, but because I poured my soul into this, and with depression and stuff, that's what we're singing about some of the times and stuff. And people will listen to it and connect with it their own way. But if you really put out like, this is why I connect to this song, or make it more meaningful for people to check you out, I think that's really important, instead of just, here you go, it's like, because it ties me emotionally to the band or personally to that song or whatever. So I think that's really important. Every time we put out a new song, I always put like, this is why you should check it out. Not just, hey, listen to our new song. It was always like, this is why this is personal to me. This is what it means to me. Hopefully you find your own reason, like, to love it and things like that. And you might have been through different experiences that connect you to that song, but this is what connects me to it. So I think it's really important to everybody connect in some certain way to your music, and that includes the band members. And I say this because, and the reason it's a big pet peeve to me is just like, you're part of this. We worked really hard on it. Why would you just share it once and then that's it? It's like, we spent days or hours writing this music. Then we're driving out to different parts of Florida. For my band, we were driving all over the New England and the East Coast and all that stuff. So like, we're taking all this time. Why would you not care? Yeah,
Why would you not
like
care about the thing that you're passionate about, that you say that you're, and you spend so much time doing?
yeah.
Yeah. So I think when we talked earlier, a couple episodes ago or whatever, it's about spamming and stuff. People think you're spamming, and it's like, no, you're
I'm just super
sharing
passionate. Yeah.
the thing you're passionate about that you created out of thin air.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
Yeah, there's something spiritual about the whole writing a song and all that stuff. And
Yeah.
you know, I listen to my old stuff and I get excited. You know, like even the opening of the show, I'm like, I jam out because I'm like, dude, I was part of this. That's amazing. Yeah. Like, I still listen to our music and feel like a certain type of way about it and remember all the time that we put into it, all the shows we played and played that song live. But yeah, it irks me when I see like band members not like super excited. They are excited, but you have to learn how to use social media and put it out there, like how much the stuff means to you. Because it is one thing to say it, but you got to show it, you know, and that's why we talk about jobs, because
it just takes a little bit of effort. That's all. Like, and I think a lot of people have a hard time putting in effort because it's just one more thing in their day that they have to think about and do. But you can make it easier on yourself if you're just talking about sharing stuff on social media. Like, I have 30 hashtags. Everybody knows what hashtags are, right? It's used on almost every social media platform. All right. I have 30 of them just sitting on my notes. And whenever I do any kind of post, I sit there and I try to think about it. And what can I put to this? And then I go ahead and try to write out, you know, a little bit of paragraph, so it's not just like, hey, check out our song.
Yeah.
Hashtags. It's, you know, something. There's some kind of substance to the narrative in there. And then I copy and paste my hashtags on there. And I change like 10 of them to kind of fit what I've posted. So if it's a live show, you know, you take out the middle. I have like stuff in the middle that's not quite as important, you know, I guess in the hashtag world or whatever. And I just switch those around and I just put like, you know, if it's a live shot, you know, but live music, live event, concert, what the song that we were doing, or, you know, photography, just changing things around real quick. It literally takes, you know, 5 minutes out of your day to think of something, actually share. Don't just count on the rest of your, you know, or whoever from the band page tagging you in it. Like, share it so you can trigger the algorithm and everything like that. The more that people share,
the more interaction,
the more the algorithm will get triggered, and hopefully you'll be more successful. You know, like the whole thing is, you can't be successful just sitting there not doing anything. You have to do something. Every day you should be looking to do something with the thing you're passionate about. You go every day to your job that you're not passionate about. Why can't you put effort into the thing you are passionate about?
Yeah, exactly.
You know? So that's...
Yeah, and another pet peeve of mine, since we're on the topic, is like people, because I've had this in bands and I've also mentored bands and had them say this to me, but God, it really grinds my gears when people are like, I'm bad at social media. And it's like, all you have to do is click a button, dude, and then just write about the song and what it means to you. It's not, I mean, or just hit share. That's enough for me. Like, just hit share, fine, whatever. But like, as long as there's some kind, because like you said, with the algorithm, if it's being shared more, it's being shown to more people, even if it's like your 50 people on your friends list, however many people you have on Facebook or Instagram, how many followers you have and all that, it's still, the more you share it, the more it will be shared with other people. And the more people that interact with it, the more people share it, it just snowball effect, you know?
Yeah.
But you can't get that if not every member is sharing it and you know, passionate about it and you know, trying to, because you can spend all the money in the world and put it out there and stuff like that, and that will, like you're learning now with like Damaged and how you guys have been marketing and things like that. Yeah, money will get you far. You know, promote. You have a good song with Damaged and you're investing money into it, it's going to push it. But then you also get the guys involved, the guys in your band, and they push it. It snowballs from there. So,
and it's trial and error. Like, anything you start doing from the get-go, like you were saying, like, I'm not good at social media. Yeah, well, I wasn't good at firefighting either.
Yeah, exactly. I practiced. I went through training.
You weren't good at, airfield management when you first got there. You
exactly.
had to learn. Like, you had to, and then there was some trial and error. Like, there's some times where you fucked up.
Yeah.
Well, guess what, fool? Just keep fucking it up until you get it right, or
exactly.
until you start figuring it out. Like, what's the worst that's going to happen? You put out something that sounds stupid or looks stupid, and you can delete it, and then you try something new. But at least you're trying, and people most of the time will see that you're trying. Just like anything, just like your music, just like your photography, just anything. People will see that you're trying, but at least keep trying. When like any artist, like I know a lot of people that like to draw and do stuff, and they've talked about it, and I just tell them to keep doing it. Just keep doing it. You'll get better.
Yeah.
It's just like your drawing or your painting or your music or recording, even like Joey Sturgis, he's recorded a bunch of like high profile bands. I mean, I'm sure he looks back at his first recordings and he's like, damn,
yeah.
I could have done so much. But he had to, you have to start somewhere, and then you have to keep, same thing with this podcast,
Yeah, exactly.
Gotten way easier to set up. We've got a new piece of equipment. Just every time you do it, you just keep trying because you like
getting better.
Yeah, you just keep trying to get better, and you keep, and the more you do it, the more you learn.
Yeah.
I came in today and set up the lights. Didn't even think about it. Just knew exactly where to put the lights and stuff. And it's that way with everything, man.
Yeah. Yeah. A lot of people are like, I hate excuses. Some things obviously make sense and things like that, but when you're making excuses for everything, like, oh, I can't do that. And it's like, well, why not? Well, I don't know how. Well, there's YouTube, there's Google, there's so many different ways to teach yourself how to do all these things. And that shows your true passion. Like, if you're passionate about this, you'll spend hours watching YouTube videos on how to get better at social media, and there's so many people,
so many resources out there to at least get you started.
Yeah.
And then you kind of figure it out as you go. Like, yeah, that's with anything, geez, I mean, I learned how to take an alternator out of a car just by watching a YouTube video. You watch it and you go, I could do that, and then you do it, and it'll probably take you 8 hours instead of 2 hours like a normal job because you're not a professional. But if you keep taking alternators out, in and out, in and out, in and out, I guarantee you, after about a month of doing that, you're going to be pretty proficient at taking out an alternator out of a car. It's the same thing with social media. You just, when I first started, I was doing the social media thing, and I would type in all the hashtags, and then I'm like, what am I doing?
I just copy and paste.
And paste. Just things like that. And then now it's like a little bit easier. I found like if I don't have anything to talk about, or because there's only, you feel like sometimes with social media too, like Instagram posts, Facebook posts, all that sort of stuff, you only have like so much to say as a person, and you're trying to connect to people personally. But like, if you're having an off day and you can't think about anything because you're not creative all the time, well, you've got how many lyrics in your song? Just take a little paragraph of your lyrics and put it in there, and then put the hashtags in there. You can be like, hey, Damaged is on, out now. Check it out. Thank you to or just always be grateful. Thank you if you've checked us out. Thank you. We appreciate you, and then hashtags, copy and paste your hashtags, and boom, there you have a post.
Yeah.
It's just that easy, have your girlfriend or your wife or whoever take a bunch of pictures of you. They don't have to be perfect. You get creative with them, look at it like it's people can sit there all day and play World of Warcraft, and
I'm glad you brought this up.
Yeah, Modern Warfare 3, and then I look at all this stuff like social media. I look at it like it's a game.
Yeah.
I don't look at it like it's a part of like life or anything like that. Like, like I look at it like it's a game. Like how many,
Yeah, you're like leveling up every day.
Yeah, and so that I can kind of disconnect from it, and I don't look at it like it's this social thing that like it creates stress, and like I'm just like, oh, what kind of creative crap can I do today, and what ooh, maybe if I try this, let's see what happens, and like, and it's cool. Then if you do something that works, and it you see the numbers go up, and you're like, I'm winning the game.
Yeah, exactly.
But as long as you're not sitting there just, thinking about it and thinking about social media, it's like just use it as a fun tool to try and promote your band like a game would, like Modern Warfare 3 or anything like that.
Yeah.
No,
I'm glad you brought that up because that's exactly where my mind was going too. Because it's a great point because, man, when I was in the Air Force and stuff, all my buddies would play WoW, and then I got into it, and then like, you're getting new gear and you're, leveling up and all that stuff. And then as soon as I got out of the military and then started bands and all that, and then I would see the numbers racking up and stuff, it was kind of addicting. Like I would just be in there like, all right, what can I do next? And then like kind of a cheat code, I would watch what other bands were doing and what they were posting and when they were posting, because the day of the week actually matters. The time of day actually matters, because we had fans overseas, and I thought that it was important to reach out to them too. And I had to think about, well, the time difference, if I'm posting at 4:00 in the afternoon, well, they're going to see it at, whatever time zone they're in. And I got to make sure that I'm like in that sweet spot. So, people in Germany and, France or wherever in the world will see this at the right time,
And where you can find that information of the best times to post?
Google.
On the internet. Just Google it.
Exactly. Well, I will say
it'll get you at least started.
Exactly.
Direction.
Yeah.
And then you can kind of figure out things from there. But that's out there. Anything that you want to do, we just looked up how to play back on this thing because we're idiots, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And all we did was just pull up a YouTube video, type in Podcaster Pro playback. And the first video that popped up was like, do this. And it was like, oh, yeah, we're idiots. Yeah. And then we were good to go.
Exactly.
It's the same. Like, that's all you do. It's like, man. I like it's amazing that people, like musicians, can learn how to restring, set up their guitar, be a damn near a tech guru when it comes to their equipment, and can fix things. Oh, a fuse here or this there, or I just need to unplug this, and I can hook up a whole pedal board and all this stuff. And then it comes to social media, and it's like, oh, I'm not good at it. It's like, what?
That's actually a really good point.
Yeah, like you have all this equipment that you know about, and and then when it comes to something that supports that, you're like, oh, I'm not good at it, or can sit up on stage and have 200 to 500 people staring at them while they play something that they made out of thin air, and then are uncomfortable sharing a picture on social media. Like, you put yourself out there all the time on stage, and then when it comes to supporting your band, I'm uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Now I'm uncomfortable. To me, that just kills me. It's like, and then they look at people who are comfortable with it, like, oh, well, or talking to people, like we were saying, like talking to people in the venue, like, oh, I'm just not a social person or whatever. It's like, do you think that people who do talk to people are? Like, it's uncomfortable for everybody starting up a new conversation. It's always uncomfortable.
Yeah.
It's just you force yourself to do it. And the more you force yourself to do it, the better you get. And, like social media, if you post something and it turns out to be stupid or silly or whatever, and people give you a hard time or whatever, which normally people don't give you a hard time. I just work in a career field where people give you a hard time. But like, you're just like, whatever, dude, like whatever, it's just like when you're on stage and you mess up. Well, guess what? Majority of people didn't notice. Majority of people don't care.
Yeah.
You just get right back to it. Same thing, it's just, but it should be, if you have 5 people in the band, you should have 5 fingers reaching out, trying to expand the band. And, you know, if those 5 people get 5 people, well, you know, that quick math, what is that? 30 people sharing your stuff, and then those people, and then those people. It's like a family tree, you know, it just branches out. And it's super important, you know, and how lucky everybody is to be in this day and age where you can reach out, you know, and find people. You know, the 80s and 90s, you had to be in the right place at the right time in front of the right person.
Yeah, exactly.
And now you don't. You can do it. There are bands, great bands, that are not signed to labels, and doing it themselves, and they're, you know, and putting things together and doing things, you know. So, yeah, I think Monuments was, you know, I think they're signed now, but they were unsigned for a long time, and they did all the stuff themselves, you know, and that's cool. In this day and age, you can do it yourself for the most part, you know.
Yeah.
You know, I'm sure there's levels that you're actually going to need help, but like for the most part, I mean, those guys are in England, and everybody that's, you know, in the, you know, progressive metal gent community, you know, knows who Monuments and John Brown are, you know, and their vocalist, his name is leaving me right now, but their new vocalist and everything like that. So there's no real excuse to not be sharing your stuff. You should be super proud of it.
Yeah, exactly.
And if you're not super proud of it, then what are you doing?
Yeah.
Go home. Go
yeah,
do
you're not
something
only
else.
you're not only wasting your time, but you're wasting everyone that's involved's time if you're not gonna like put all that effort into it. It's like, yeah, I will say, and it's something that you guys need to work on too. But I set up a fan page on Facebook where I had friends that were like diehard fans, like loved us. And I think every band has that. You have somebody that's just like comes to every one of your shows that really supports you. And you ask them a favor, like, hey, would you want to head up this fan club? And, you know, we'll send you new songs before we release them, or whatever you want to incentivize and things like that. I mean, you can pay them if you want to, if you're bringing in enough money. But I oversaw the fan club, but I also had somebody that was in there that just like would help promote our music. And the guys were great at it, like my other members. But I honestly think just with the fan club itself, I mean, we were self-sustaining, which just with that, you know, he was adding new friends, and then we got more and more people involved, and that were just really big fans that just wanted to help the band, you know. And there are people out there that will want to help you, you know, that like whether it be photographers that are just trying to get into it, but even with like booking, like somebody might want to just, hey, do you mind if I book you guys and see if I can put something together for you? It's like, yeah, go for it, you know, like what's it gonna hurt, you know? What are we doing this month anyway, you know? If you're just sitting here not getting out of you know, I'll just say here, like Fort Walton Beach, if you're not getting out of here and playing Atlanta and things like that, like, what are you doing? You know, get out there and play those shows, you know? So if this kid can hook it up for you and it makes sense, let's do it, you know? And I feel that way with the fan club. I feel that way with a lot of things inside the band. If somebody wants to record you and they're like new, and, you know, you give them a shot, you know, and if it sounds like crap, move on, you know? But I really feel like you're going to meet a lot of people that are going to be really invested in the band, and you want to kind of like bring them in and make them a part of the band as well too, you know? Yeah.
Well, you were saying too, like, get out there. It's hard to start out getting out of your general area, but you know, that all ties in together. The more and more you talk to people, you know, you're normally going to play shows with bands that come in from out of town. A lot of time you talk to people like, hey, who books up in Atlanta, you know, and how do I get into that market, you know? And they're like, hey, can we do a show trade or something like that? And you're going to have to get out there. If you want to play the big stage, you got to get out there and play all the little stages.
Yeah, exactly.
You know? Because you have to develop. If I'm in Fort Walton Beach, that's 4.5 hours away from Atlanta, well, people in Atlanta got to know who the hell I am. The only way they're going to know who the hell I am is going and playing smaller shows with local bands. You start to build your following, and then hopefully you get the big stage, like the Masquerade, calling you going, oh, we know who the hell you are, and you're making some noise in the Southeast. We want you to come up and support this, major headline, this major tour. But if you're just chilling in Fort Walton in your local area, how the hell are you supposed to get out there? How the hell is anybody supposed to bring you in?
Yeah.
Like it just doesn't work like that. Every booker I've talked to, when I've, asked them, because that's another thing. It's like reaching out and trying to, and talking to people. It's like when I would get a hold of somebody, I'd be like, hey, do you have a couple minutes that I could talk to you? Like, and I would actually call them. I'd be like, hey, do you have a couple minutes I could ask you for a little bit of advice? And, or something that you could tell me. And like Atlanta is one thing. Like, how do I get in the Masquerade, man? How do I go I've seen bands do it before that are from out of Atlanta. How do I become one of those? And then they just kind of list it out for you. Like, hey,
yeah, exactly.
We got to know
they want to help you too.
Yeah,
because
it's we got to know that you can pull in Atlanta. We're not going to put you on a show if you can't pull.
Yeah, exactly.
Unless like you're best friends with somebody there involved in that event, you're not getting on that event unless you can bring people to the show.
Mm-hmm.
So I think and it all, if you can't talk to people, you can't post on social media, you want money, you want stuff to work out for you, bring people to the show. And that all contributes to you bringing people to the show is the social media aspect, you talking to people, you putting out decent content, getting stuff done. And that's how you get paid. That's how you get places. That's how you get bigger shows, is bringing people to your show.
Yeah.
It's as simple. I mean, it's complex, but it's as simple as that. If you bring people to the show, you will get paid, you will get invited back for more shows, and you'll get invited to bigger shows.
Yeah, and the band will sustain itself. You won't have to worry about sinking money into it.
That in turn comes into money, and then the money transfers over into now I can go to a proper recording studio and or I can get a proper music video done. It's and so all of that should be geared toward how can we get more butts and seats and coming out to shows and, to help basically fund this thing that I love that you supposedly love to do. So,
yeah.
Like, no excuses. No, I'm not good at social media. No, I'm not good at talking to people. Like, man up and do what you need to do to support the thing you're passionate about,
Yeah. I think we covered it before the show, and I wanted to talk to you about it too. And I think it's important for anybody that's listening as well. I think we kind of sat around and were waiting for that one great opportunity where a band was just going to swoop in and be like, hey, let's come on tour with us. And,
you're a cool person. I'd love to bring you on tour like that.
Yeah, like that ever happens. Yeah. I mean,
I'm sure it has, but
yeah, scratch someone's back. They'll hopefully pay you back. I mean, that's what you hope for.
Don't count on it.
Yeah, don't count on it. But my thing is we were saying this earlier where, what else are you doing? And you could sit around waiting all year for that tour to fall in your lap. It's not going to happen. Yeah. And I hate to say that. I'm sure there's people out there that know people that got them opportunities where, they just started a band and they were on tour. Next thing you know, all right, that's cool. But that does not happen. And there's bands that how long have you guys been around?
7 years now.
Yeah. And my band was around for about the same amount of time. And it's like, I think initially we were waiting for that one opportunity to just fall in our lap. And I've talked to bands around here. I've talked to bands around Boston where they're like, yeah, we're not going on tour until, something really makes sense and we make all this money. It's like, well, sorry, but you're going to be sitting here for a long time. And I wanted to touch on this where it's like, if you're running a business, you just start your business. It's like Silent Wave. I started my business. I'm not going to take someone on that just says that I don't know has some type of experience. You know, I'm a smaller business, so I'd be willing to train someone and all that. But, you know, these booking agents have been around for a long time. And, you know, these bigger bands, they have booking agents that have been in the scene for a long time. They're not looking for, you know, a band that plays every once in a while. They're playing Fort Walton Beach over and over and over and over again. They're not looking for that. You know, they want you to go out to Atlanta and play, you know, these bigger cities and do it on your own, because it's the same thing as like applying for a job. I'm not going to apply for a job I don't have the skills in, you know, like, or the experience or time where it's like at least 2 years experience in this job, you know. You have to get on the road and prove to people that you can survive on the road. You know, there's 5 of you or 4 of you or 6 of you, however many people are in the band. I, as a booking agent, if I'm booking a tour, I want to see that you have experience, you know, and that you're not going to kill each other on the road.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And you have a reliable van. I know that you went to Chicago and came back. All right, cool. That's awesome. You know, you survived, you ate, and everybody made it back safely. I'm not going to take the band that plays all the time in their local area. And you know, that opportunity is not going to fall in your lap. I think that's the biggest thing I'm trying to say.
And what else do you have to offer? Like, okay, cool. So you're going to sit around and you're going to wait for a tour that you can pay to get on, because that happens all the time.
Yeah.
Cool. You can pay to get on it. Who out there? There's tons of bands that have $5,000 or whatever the price is to throw onto to get on a tour. What else do you have to offer? It's just because they're all playing music, so you have music. Okay, cool. You have $5,000. That's it? That's all you have to offer? If I was sitting back and I was taking somebody on tour and we threw it out there or whatever, I would go, okay. If I had to make that decision, I'd be like, okay, everybody's got music. Let's just say everybody's got good music. Everybody's got good music. Cool. All right, everybody's got $5,000. Cool. All right. Now what else? Now we're looking at our candidates. It's just like a job. We keep telling everybody it's like it's a business, it's a job. Okay, then now I'm going to go, okay, well, who's all been to the areas that we're going?
Exactly.
What's their fan base like? Hey, check out their events. How many people do they bring to their shows?
How many monthly listeners do they have on Spotify, followers on Instagram? Yeah, exactly.
Like, what else are they bringing to the table? Like, and then once you get on the show, you think I'm just going to be like, oh, cool, you paid your $5,000 and you're road ready. I'm going to have no other stipulations going to make my tour successful that I'm putting together. Like, I'm going to be like, you're going to be sharing this, you're going to be doing this, and you're going to be doing that, and you're going to be doing this. Like, there's going to be other expectations, you know, like you need to post every day or 3 times a week about the tour coming up, or when you're on the road, you need to be posting this, you need to be sharing on social media. And there's no sitting there going, I'm not good at social media.
Yeah.
Like, it all ties together. We're all full circle now. Like, you know what I mean? Like, there's, like, that's only just common sense, you know? It's just, to me, it's common sense.
Yeah.
You know, like, you have to have more to offer somebody for them to take you on, because, you know, the next band over is doing 2 times what you are. There's always somebody working harder.
Yeah.
Just like sports, you know, like you always hear the great saying, you know, like I always thought that somebody was working harder than me. So I was in the gym.
First thing, left last.
If I knew that this person was in the gym at 6, I was in there at 5:30. Yeah. If I knew they left at 4, I left at 4:30. I was first man in, last man out. And I don't think that that's too much to ask anybody if they're passionate about something and they love doing something. Like, that's not, you know, if you're passionate and you love what you do, you should never feel like you worked a day in your life.
Yeah.
So it doesn't feel like work. It feels like something that, when I do it, you know, it feels like something I'm passionate about, and I love it. Like, and it's all geared towards getting on stage and having people react to what you're doing. So it's time to wrap it up. I think
I think
we went a little bit longer today. Look at us.
Well, we took there's 3 minutes in there that we have to cut out, but
yeah.
I'll end on this where you know, like we said, you know, if you're trying to get on a bigger tour, you got to put the work in, and think of it as, I don't think a lot of people put themselves in the shoes of the people that are like in charge of these tours. You know, I'm not going to like you have to think about what they're looking for, and if your numbers are low and you have to have like this, like be like understand yourself and understand the band and think of it as like you're applying for a job. You wouldn't go to a job, try to be a doctor when you have no experience in it. You know what I'm saying? Like, I know that's way different, but I'm just saying, like, put yourself in the shoes of the person that's hiring your band and think about what do we bring to the table that's going to entice them to bring us on tour.
Because all those people that are involved in the events, whether it be your local event or major tours, just like you trying to struggle to keep your band afloat and keep a job and keep a roof over your head, those people are also depend on
this is their life.
Like the bookers and the promoters and the managers and or the venue owners and the bands, like their livelihood depends on success. And if you're not putting off success and you're showing them that you can be successful or at least grow, like they see potential in you, then why the hell would they pick you? If you're a dude or a chick and you go out to a bar and you just throw your hair up in a ponytail, don't shave, you don't smell good, you didn't take a shower, why would anybody pick you as a mate? Same kind of concept. Like, you go out to the club or the bar, or you go out to, looking for your significant other, or your next future significant other, or whatever you want to call it. You try to look your best and feel your best, and it's the same thing, man, with your band. Think of it as your baby, and you're trying to grow this thing. And, man, it's like, it's not just, this, people just get locked into this, this view, this little concentrated view of like small little bubble. And there's this big, giant bubble that you're trying to operate in. And you have to see that all of it, what is it, like, 100-foot view and 10,000-foot view,
Yeah.
Like thinking of like military stuff, like the whole, there's an operation going on. You're just one part of it, so just try to make yourself the best part of it you can. And hopefully, you get picked up doing stuff, and come across sincere to people that you're, actively trying, and you're trying to be a good person, and things will work out,
Yeah.
Be optimistic and just share your stuff on social media, man. Like, everybody should be sharing, dude. Like, everybody wants to see it, man. Even if it's bad, we want to see it.
Yeah.
We can either, we'll either enjoy it or we won't. Like, it's not that big of a deal. Like, just get out there and do it, and put 100% into it, man, while you're doing it. Because, it only, like I said in a previous, video, it doesn't last forever, man. So you might as well give it all you got, and take your chances and everything like that, and just do your best.
Could always be worse, right? That's what we say.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this is episode 3 of Mosh Vets. I really enjoy you guys listening, and thank you so much for your support. Please hit the share and like and subscribe button, and
come out to Downtown Music Hall. A lot of awesome shows. We got a lot of future shows coming up, and some big announcements probably in the next, hopefully, month or so.
Yeah, absolutely.
With, big things happening with Downtown Music Hall, and we'll keep you up to date on that. So, you got anything?
I think we're good.
Any shout-outs, bro?
And the show and shout-outs? Yeah, shout-out to Downtown Music Hall and Ian.
Where can we find you? Where can we find Silent Wave Management?
Oh, Silent Wave Management. I have a website, silentwave.us. All the bands that I work with are on there. Also, what is it? Silent Wave on Instagram. Mosh Vets is on Instagram now. We got Facebook pages, and look us up. We'll add all the links on the YouTube, and hopefully try on the Spotify. We're still learning how to do all that stuff too. So, but we really enjoy that you guys listen to this. Hopefully you learned something. We would love feedback. You know, if there's anything you would like to know about any of our experiences, whether it be military and music, I would love to.
Or anything you'd like us to talk about, or any guests or anything like that, put them in the comments.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, if you know someone that would be willing to be on the show, or you yourself want to be on the show, we would love to have you on, no matter where you're from. I mean, I think we're willing to travel, and
we're pretty portable now.
Yeah, exactly. That's the whole point of this thing. It's perfect. You just plug it in and good to go. Hit record.
Yeah.
And we can have multiple guests on, which is cool. So yeah, I mean, this wraps up episode 3, and hit like and share and all that stuff.
Like, share, subscribe, all that
we
good stuff.
appreciate it. Thank you so much
guys.
for listening.
Bite my nails until they just